Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to do some pruning, plant care, and discussion about our light bio Firefly Petunia. So it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and I know some people have commented and saying, hey Matt, petunias are free flowering. You don't have to pick the blossoms off of that. They'll be just fine without it. Well, yeah, they will, but I kind of like my petunias to look nice. So this is time yet again for me to come in and do some pruning and some removal of the old buds of my Firefly Petunia. So a couple of things about this. If you do have a Firefly Petunia and you've been taking it outside, we do need to talk about some other care that you're going to need to do to your petunia. You probably can't see it from this elevation, but right there is a thrip on one of my petunia blossoms. Oh, they look like kind of little splinters that move. And this is the time of year that, that petunia's outside, the thrips are moving. They do fly, even though they're really super tiny. And so you're going to need to do some control for that. So you're going to need to spray because thrips are a sucking insect and they really are hard on the plant, and they definitely need to go away. So if you find little tiny moving parts in your petunia and they look like a little splinter, there's one there. I think I've got a video that I'll try to link to this about thrips and what you need to do with them. But with those, definitely spray for them. The chemical that I personally used is called acephate, and that is available on Amazon, and they'll ship right to your home. You will want to read up a little bit about it because it is a pesticide, and though I use it, it's going to be up to you to discover whether or not that is appropriate for your situation or the community in which you live in, because not every chemical is licensed in every area. But yeah, that's what I use. I use a chemical called acephate, and it is a systemic, so it will get into the plant itself and it will kill any sucking insect that is in that. So some places may not want that because, bees could take that up and then it could harm a bee. But whatever it is about this Firefly Petunia, I haven't seen many bees working on it. But yeah, time of year to start looking for thrips. The other thing is if your Firefly Petunia is spending a lot of time outdoors, which it should, because it needs that bright sunlight. If you've got it out there, you're going to need to be on the lookout for budworm. It's a caterpillar that feeds on your nightshades, which is tomatoes, petunias, potatoes. I've also found them on geraniums too, but you'll need to be on the lookout for that, and you will want to spray for those. And that we use BT, or Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a biological. And the first thing you'll notice is there'll be holes in your petunia blossoms, or the blossoms themselves will just be completely gone and missing. So that is something to look out for. As soon as I do find those, I will of course shoot an update video. We'll talk about them, and we might do some experiments with them just to see what happens when budworm feeds on Firefly Petunias. I have some theories, and I'd like to test them, but I'm not going to go too far in depth because I would like to test them and be surprised. The other thing is, the Firefly Petunia, when I first got it, if you look back in the early videos, this thing was pretty sparse as far as leaves and blossoms, and it looked pretty sickly. I've got the color coming back pretty well. I am fertilizing it with Jack's Classic Petunia feed, so I'm getting it to bounce back, and I think it looks a whole lot better. But with that, definitely if you don't have a feeding regimen, your petunia is going to be yellow and it may not look quite this good. But Jack's Classic Petunia feed is what I would recommend you use. And that is also available on Amazon. And I think Was it 2622, I think is the formulation for that. But specifically use Jack's. Don't use Miracle Grow. Miracle Grow does not work for potted plants because your mix that you're using is sterile, and the nitrogen form that they have in Miracle Grow needs a bacteria to convert it from nitrate to nitrite, and that bacteria is not present in our artificial potting medias. And yes, I did say artificial. Even though it's natural ingredients, the potting media itself is man-made, but they are generally sterile, so they're not going to have that bacteria that can convert that over for you. So that's where you need that Jack's Classic. Okay, and we're just going to keep going in here, finding old buds, clipping them off. Yep. I'm going to start getting rid of some of those old leaves too, because they don't look good to me. The other thing about your Firefly Petunia is if you haven't brought your Firefly Petunia in, if you just leave it out at night, bring it in and put it in a dark room. Mine actually sits on a nightstand. I know it's kind of weird, but it almost acts like a nightlight. You know, once your eyes adjust, it's fairly bright. And it'll cast a shadow on the wall if something's in front of it. But bring it in and enjoy it because you've spent a lot of money on this plant. It's just good if you get your money's worth out by observing it at night. And we're going to do a few more experiments now that I'm out of school, where I can really get in here and try a few things that I really want to see what happens. Oh, was that a... Interesting. But I want to try a few things in here, some experiments to see what happens when I do some crazy stuff. We're going to build a new pot for it, something that's prettier. It's going to be a transformer pot so we can look at a bunch of things. And I'll bring you along for the build on that. The best part is it's going to take some trips to Home Depot to get supplies. And it's going to be a whole like build montage. There we go. Yep. Getting all of those out of there. You know, the other thing is make sure when you're doing these that you're not getting your new buds. So there's your new buds there. There's one as it's growing. You just want the little pieces that look like a star. You want everything in there to be dead, like these. So make sure you're not picking off your seed pods. Or I mean your buds. And those tend to be down into the base. I think I just about got it cleaned up. And yeah, there's a little cat hair and dog hair on my petunia. We've got pets and it sits outside by them. So I do treat it well. Although it is a prized possession of mine. It does come inside, but in the daytime it is outside. I'm going to pick off some of these older blossoms. See if we can get more energy for the newer blossoms. If I start doing this, then I don't have to come in and pick all the old dead things off. Just do some preemptive. And those of you that have a Firefly Petunia, you already know that it's the brand new blossoms that grow or glow the brightest. So like these guys, this little point right here is super bright. Everything else, these older blossoms get dim. There we go. So yeah, there's a fair number of blossoms here. And with these, you know, I counted it the other day. There was 50 blossoms on here that were open, and I only counted the fully open ones, not the buds. So it is pretty prolific on flowering. You know, I wouldn't mind that in a small container. But I think we're at the point where we need to step up from this gallon container, which is what this one is in, to something a little bit larger. And we're going to make a custom pot for this, maybe 10 inches by 10 inches. And again, The secret is it's going to be a transformer, so that'll be cool. But anyway, we'll do some more shots of this, some night shots. We'll do some investigation. We'll do some experimentation. Now that I'm free to shoot more videos this summer. It's been a very, very long year, but yeah, we're ready to get rolling. Have a lot more fun with this petunia. If you have any questions about Firefly petunias, go ahead and drop me a line. I can answer as much as I've learned about them. If you do want to get one for yourself, and again, if you're just finding this video and wondering why I'm calling it a Firefly Petunia, it glows in the dark. You don't have to charge it up with a flashlight or anything. It will glow naturally on its own because it's a genetically engineered plant crossed with a bioluminescent fungus. So it's bioluminescent, it glows at night. But this is our Firefly Petunia. Got to keep working on the color. It's not quite as deep green as I want, but at least being a little bit lighter, it allows the light from the bioluminescence to come through really well. Anyway, hope you learned something. Hope you're getting excited for more experiments on our Firefly Petunia this year. And hope you learned something. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.